memories within your favorite video games do you remember most fondly? Probably the ones that made you stare wide-eyed at your screen, mouth agape, just trying to find the ability to say, whoa. We all have them. Moments that blew our mind, gave us an epic encounter we'd never forget, treated us to a truly memorable and emotional scene, or just gave us something we could lean back, look at, and go, that's good stuff. And that, my friends, are what these are. I'm Tyler R. Lee, and this is Misguided Content, 10 moments in video games that blew you away. And, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe. First up, your first glimpse of rapture, Bioshock. So, question for you. What do you do when you don't want to pay taxes, you hate charity, and generally just get super annoyed at the thought of giving anything you earn to anyone ever at any point in your life? If you answered, build a massive city underwater where you can do whatever the hell you want with what you have, then you may need to talk to someone about that. Seriously, friend. Also, you may be Andrew Ryan from Bioshock, creator of Rapture, a massive city underwater. You know what? Just read the description I just gave. Now, this idea may be, well, I'll just say it, batshit insane. However, first glimpsing this city deep under the ocean is breathtaking, to say the least. The city, the depth of the ocean, the underwater life swimming to and fro as you are navigated in between the skyscrapers, sea scrapers, doesn't matter. Taking it all in that moment is truly something to behold. Up next, giraffes. The Last of Us. In a game filled with almost nothing but moments that leave you distressed from the bleak, albeit amazing story, The Last of Us hit it out of the park with this moment. As Joel and Ellie make their way through Salt Lake City, Ellie spots something that causes her to completely forget about Joel, the ladder she was holding, safety, everything. Much like Joel, the player is confused and worried as Ellie runs off. Then, you spot them. A herd of giraffes have escaped the nearby zoo and are moving through the city. Joel slowly approaches and pets one, and Ellie joins. This comes right after Ellie's harrowing experience with David and his group of survivors. After having done what she was forced to do, Ellie is changed, and not entirely for the better. There is a distance between her and Joel, and it is very clear to the player after the winter chapter closes and the new one begins. But Naughty Dog's stroke of genius storytelling brings a bit of light back into the story, before it goes dark again, showing that there are moments that you need to take in and appreciate, even in the darkest of times. Removing the Master Sword, The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Let's get old school for just a minute. Ocarina of Time was an amazing game. My first foray into the Legend of Zelda franchise, the sheer level of grandeur from the world once I stepped outside of the Kokiri Forest left me in awe. However, that moment after retrieving all 3 spiritual stones, lining them up in the Temple of Time, that slow chanting in the background, and unlocking that secret chamber is one to remember. And then, finding the Master Sword, walking up to that platform as you grasp it and lift. A swirl of light and magic whip around Link as the world goes white. Then, Ganon is there in the midst of the bright light, having been waiting for this moment. Suddenly, you're in the Chamber of the Sages, as Rauru tells you not to be alarmed by your appearance. The camera pans down Link, revealing you to be a fully grown adult. Rauru informs you that you were too young when you pulled the sword, so your spirit was sealed for 7 years. To top things off, as you step out of the Temple of Time, you find that Ganon has taken hold and wreaked havoc over Hyrule as you enter into a town straight out of a Resident Evil game. Powerful, memorable, and pretty damn cool, not to mention the first time we got to see it in 3D. It is arguably the most powerful retrieval of the Master Sword in any Zelda game. Fight me. Samus revealed, Metroid. Let's get even more old school, and go back to the days of the original Nintendo Entertainment System, or as it was better known by its acronym, the NES. The NES. I don't think anyone called it the NES. Anyway, let's go back to the first adventure of that badass bounty hunter by the name of Samus. Now, today, if you mention Samus, everyone knows you mean that female protagonist of the Metroid series that wears the awesome power armor Fallout wish it had, uses an arm cannon that would make Mega Man jealous, and can roll into a ball and fit into cramped spaces. Which doesn't really make anyone jealous, but it seems like it would be pretty handy. And will kick any space pirate's ass that gets in her way. However, when Metroid first came onto the scene, all we knew was this Samus character had some armor, cool power-ups, and shot things with their arm. And as the world was in 1986, most, if not all, video game protagonists were generally male. So, after traversing this unforgiving world, doing battle with incredibly deadly adversaries, and generally just kicking all the ass, the ending strips Samus of her power armor, no, not like that, you pervert, revealing the woman underneath. Many a gamer were shocked at this revelation. But luckily, the Metroid series continued, giving us more of Samus in all her bounty hunter glory, and I dare you to tell her to her face that she fights like a girl. She'll show you how right you are, and you probably won't like it. A Thresher Maw takes down a Reaper, Mass Effect 3. The Mass Effect series has more than enough mind-blowing moments to fill its own list. However, this moment stands out in my mind when I think of the trilogy. Thresher Maws, the giant, burrowing worms straight out of Frank Herbert's worst nightmares, or weird dreams, I don't know what he liked, are considered one of the most dangerous creatures in all the galaxies. And if a player encounters one, they learn that isn't an exaggeration. They are big, they are tough, and they will kill you. You can encounter them while exploring worlds in the first Mass Effect, and even have to throw down with one in Mass Effect 2 during Grunt's rite of passage. However, nothing compares to what you witness in the final installment of the trilogy. While traversing the unforgiving landscape of the Krogan homeworld of Tachanka, Commander Shepard and his crew engage in battle with a Reaper destroyer as they try to push through the ruins of an ancient Krogan city. It should be noted the brilliant build-up here, as throughout the city, drawings depict a giant Thresher Maw known as Calros, identified as the mother from which all other Thresher Maws spawn. As the Reaper closes in, a giant gong is sounded to summon the beast from the deep. It spots the Reaper, and then...
let them fight.
Shepard looks on as the noticeably smaller Reaper is outmaneuvered, wrapped up, and dragged into the sand. This moment was so badass, it even made Edie rethink her opinion on the Reapers, since one could be taken out by, as she put it, a worm. Yeah, but a pretty fucking big worm, Edie. First Cyber Ninja encounter, Metal Gear Solid.
It looks like they were cut by some type of blade.
These are the lines uttered by Solid Snake in the PS1's classic Metal Gear Solid. Snake enters a hallway after exiting the elevator and walks into a nightmare scene. The cutscene starts, and we witness the bloody, broken bodies of many soldiers as they lay strewn along the hallway. Blood is on the ground, on the walls, on the ceiling. It's like cat hair, it's absolutely everywhere. If you open up a can of soda after entering this hallway, take a sip and yep, it's in your soda. Spit that out, it's not good. The creepy music, the fast cuts to all the victims, it's something straight out of a horror movie, and it leaves you literally mouth agape whispering, "What the actual fuck?" But it isn't over yet. Once you take a few steps, another scene takes over. Oh look, a survivor. What's that? You're muttering fearfully to yourself? It's a ghost. Thud. Pool of blood forms under new corpse. Oh, lovely. As you progress down the hallway, you hear more and more gunfire, followed by screams of terror. Once you round the corner, though, you finally see it. A figure cloaked in predator-like camouflage with a soon-to-be dead soldier on the tip of his held-up sword. Then, the camouflage wears off, and there he is, Gray Fox, the Cyber Ninja. And he just walks out of the hallway. Holy shit. Without a doubt, most players, after seeing this for the first time, definitely just stood in the hallway for a moment, contemplating if they were ready for the boss fight against this monster that awaited them in the next room. The 13th Colossus, Shadow of the Colossus. Yes, every Colossus in Shadow of the Colossus is epic in its own way. And yes, your encounter with the first one is quite impactful, as it presents you with the scope of the game and with Wander's quest before him. I agree. And that is why I think the 13th Colossus should be on here, because after 12 previous Colossi make their appearance, this one still left players in awe. Wander and Agro ride into a vast desert, and the light looks to point to the center of a small collection of stones. When there, it happens. This massive beast, easily the largest of all the Colossi, burst from the ground and into the sky, its snake-like body twisting and writhing as it takes flight, its massive wings spreading forth. And the player wonders, how the hell do I fight this? Well, that's where the moment that blows you away continues. This fight is epic. In order to bring the Colossus down close enough to even attempt to climb aboard, You have to shoot it in its, I don't know, air sacs? Anyway, once that is done, he starts to fly lower. It's still a good 20 or so feet off the ground, however, but its wings are now dragging across the sand. Wander now pushes Aggro to run alongside the twisting and turning Colossus so he can jump onto the wings. Once done, the creature takes flight again, and you are engaged in another, though far bigger than the last, sky battle with the Colossus. No fight in the game gets your adrenaline going quite like the 13th Colossus. Kratos' Chaos Blades, God of War. I just want to say that the Leviathan Axe is an incredibly kick-ass weapon that I loved using in the God of War PS4 title. It made the brilliant combat in this game all the sweeter. However, those of us that had played the previous God of War games remember the Chaos Blades, the crazy acrobatics Kratos would perform with them, and the dark story that accompanied his possession of them. So if you're like me, you probably wondered more than once throughout your adventure, what the hell did you do with your Chaos Blades, dude? Well, this question is answered when Kratos must travel to the realm of Helheim to retrieve the heart of the Keeper of the Bridge to save his son Atreus, boy, from succumbing to the child's illness. However, Helheim is a dark, but more importantly, cold world, one where the cold magic of the Leviathan Axe will be useless. Kratos knows what he has to do. He makes his way back to his home, all the while being haunted by the ghost of Athena. When he arrives, he retrieves something wrapped from under the floorboards. As he unwraps them, the dark, slow music begins to swell as the familiar blades are revealed, along with the scars they left as the former god of war unwraps his arms.
You will always be a monster.
I know. But I am your monster no longer.
Then, he steps outside and proceeds to let the flaming blades fly at the unfortunate Draugr that have arrived. Ugh, chills. Titus and Yuna embrace. Final Fantasy X. I could make an entire list dedicated solely to Final Fantasy moments that blew me away. Hold on a minute. Just making a note. Possible future video. Okay. Anyway, lots of great Final Fantasy moments. However, this scene in Final Fantasy X really hit an emotional button for players. After escaping Bavel and making sure Yuna doesn't marry that tool Seymour, the group stops in the Macalania Spring. Titus approaches Yuna as she is having a moment of reflection on the journey so far. Titus has also just learned what will happen to Yuna at Journey's End. The two discuss giving up the pilgrimage, seeing Blitzball together, and living a normal life. But Yuna knows it is not to be. Titus comforts her, and the two embrace in an emotional moment that players have been anticipating for some time, but were never sure if it would happen. Visually, it is absolutely stunning. The romantic setting of the Macalania Spring, the water, the trees, the starlight, all add to the setting and the incredible visuals. Also, the stunning score that goes along takes it to a completely new level. It is a scene that sticks with any who played Final Fantasy X. And finally, Revan's identity revealed. Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic. How about we talk a little Star Wars for a minute? No, wait, come back. It's safe here. No, we aren't talking about the movies. No, we are going to talk about a fantastic game called Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic. From the get-go, KOTOR makes it clear that all of your choices are important, and that you are shaping your destiny and the destiny of those around you as well. As the player, you find yourself at odds with Darth Malak and his Sith forces, as they look for the Jedi Bastila Shan. One thing leads to another, the story gets more grand and the scale increases. You learn about Malak, how he is the former apprentice to an even more powerful Dark Lord, Darth Revan, who disappeared, and that you are needed to help find the Star Forge, which is how Malak has amassed such a large force. Soon, you as the player learn the truth. As you are training to become a Jedi, you learn that you are actually the former Dark Lord Darth Revan, and that the Jedi brainwashed you and modified your memory so that you would no longer be a threat to the galaxy. It is this irony in a game about choice and how important it is, that you find out your choice in the matter, as Darth Revan, was taken from you. Brilliant storytelling, really. This shocking revelation leads the player to a tough choice. Help the Jedi, who have manipulated you, or usurp your power back from Malak and become the most powerful Sith in the galaxy once again. And there you have it. Moments in video games that blew you away. Do you agree? Give me your own moments in the comments below. Again, don't forget to like and subscribe. And catch me on Twitch if you want. See you again soon.